Good evening and welcome to the April 14th council meeting. Members of the public were provided with the following methods to watch and or participate in this open meeting. Attend in person at the North Dumfries Community Complex. Attend electronically via Zoom to observe the meeting or to speak to an item on the agenda. You can watch the live stream by accessing the meeting on the Township YouTube page. And any written submission or comments to the clerk's division have been provided to council members and will form part of the public record. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank everyone for joining us this evening. We appreciate your participation. As we come together to serve the community, I ask that we create a welcoming and positive environment for everyone that includes respect. That we listen to each other with care, speak thoughtfully, and engage kindly with one another. Kindness, that we treat everyone, council, staff, and the public, with respect and understanding. Inclusion, that we embrace diverse perspectives and respect each other's opinions. And together we can make this meeting space one where respect, kindness, and inclusion are at the heart of everything we do. Behavior that is disrespectful, disruptive, aggressive, or intimidating will result in those individuals being asked to leave. I'd now like to call the meeting to order. Can I have the motion, please, Councilor Owens?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Tilly, that council adopt the April 14th, 2025 council agenda as presented with the following addendum. 1, add correspondence received for item 11.2.1, report number PD 21-2025, proposed television tower at 1056 Whistlebear Road, file number TC0223. And 2, add correspondence received for 11.2.2, report number PD 22-25, proposed zoning bylaw amendment, proposed draft plan of condominium on Mitchell Street, file numbers ZC02.3 and 30 CDM-23301.
All those in favor? Everybody, thank you. Before I get started with the next phase, I'd like to say that the coming together of diverse opinions is the best thing that anybody can do to get a whole picture of the situation, how it affects each of us diversely. And if we can do that in a non-contentious way, we can really make headways on making good decisions. I'd now like to do the Indigenous Territory Acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between the Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. And we have to remember they're not here to attack us. They're not here to demand anything. They just want to be recognized for their contribution to the lands and to this country. And what they believe to do, they believe they are stewards of the land. And they do work diligently to hold that. And if we can respect and learn and honor their traditions, maybe we can all be a little bit better. So it's positive effect on them. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Councilor Owens.
I have a peculiar interest item 13.1, see report 08-2025, a proposed repaying acquisition or disposition of land by municipality or local board. Reflects section 2392C.
Councilor Austin.
Conflict of interest with the closed session item 13.1.
As David.
CA report say.
Thank you. Adoption of council minutes. Motion, Councilor Tilly, please, for the adoption of the minutes.
Moved by myself, second by Council Williams, the council approved the following meeting minutes. 6.1, council meeting minutes dated March 24th, 2025. 6.2, public planning meeting, council meeting minutes dated March 25th, 2025.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And now the presentation for long service awards. A chief administrative officer will present the long service awards. CEO McNeil, please. What do you want us to do? Just hang here?
So if I could call each of the recipients forward, we have a gift and your certificate of service. Mayor Sue Foxon is being recognized for her term on council, extending over 25 years. Mayor Foxon achieved her milestone on December of 2023. So, Madam Mayor, on behalf of the residents and members of council and senior management team, we're very appreciative of the time that you've devoted and the passion you bring to your work each day.
Thank
Congratulations.
you very much.
Munster and Councilor Walden are also receiving their 10-year certificate in their role as members of council for wards 1 and 2. And their anniversary date is December 1st, 2024. Gentlemen, congratulations. Thank you every day for the work you bring, the value you bring to my decision making.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Ossner, that the long service recognition award presentation to Mayor Sid Foxton for 25 years, Councillor Rod Woodman for 10 years, and Councillor Derek Ossner for 10 years be received.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Request to lift items from the consent agenda for separate consideration and speaking identifications. Are there any members of the council that would like to lift anything from the consent agenda? Councilor Austin.
Sorry, does that include down to committees? Or where are we?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah, just a clarification on 1022A.
22A.
Yeah, in the minutes it
Okay.
states. Want me to say what it is?
Okay.
Okay. So in the minute, it refers to the Paris band Christmas party that they held. It's actually the Christmas concert.
Yes. Correction noted. Clerk is making sure. Any other? So we will have a motion for the consent agenda. Please, Councilor Austin.
Sorry,
Oh, okay. Oh, and anyone from the public wish to speak on any of the items? See, no, Councilor Austin.
sorry. Also, does it
It goes from 10.1.1 down to 10.2.3.
okay, no, I'm good.
Okay. So can I have a motion, please?
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Roman, that the following reports as listed on the April 14th, 2025 consent agenda be received, and the recommendations contained therein be approved and acted upon. 1011, report number CLK 07-2025, appointment of auditor and board of director for Grand Bridge Corporation. 10.1.2, report number FD 04-2025, fire department incident response summary, March 2025. And that the following information items as listed on the April 14th, 2025 consent agenda be received. 10.2.1, A, correspondence received from the Ministry of Natural Resources regarding Mayor Foxton's delegation meeting at the 2025 Rural Ontario Municipal Association meeting. B, correspondence received from the Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities regarding the North Dumfries Net Zero Arena project. And C, correspondence received from the Water Region Police Service regarding the rural township policing strategy. 10.2.2 advisory committees. A, leisure and lifestyle advisory meeting minutes dated December 11th, 2024 with that minor correction. B, Grand River Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting minutes dated February 27th, 2025. And C, Heritage Advisory Committee meeting minutes dated February 18th, 2025. And 10.2.3 external public agencies, regional council meeting minutes dated February 26th, 2025.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. 11.2 reports, number PD 21-2025, the pole telecommunication tower at 1056 Whistleboro Road. File number TC 0223. I believe that Lucas Scott is here to speak. Go ahead, Lucas. You have 5 minutes.
Good evening, council, township staff, and those attending tonight's meeting. My name is Lucas Cobb. I plan on working at Frontier International, representing Signal's interest in the proposed telecommunication tower at 1056 Whistleboro Road.
You can use the arrow key too.
Health Canada's Safety Code 6 sets national safety limits for human exposure to radio frequency energy, which is emitted by wireless equipment like telecommunication towers. These limits are based on extensive scientific research, including large safety margins, and aligns with standards used in the United States, Europe, and other countries. For this project, Signal Wireless proactively commissioned an independent Safety Code 6 compliance report ahead of this meeting. The report concluded that Red Oak Technologies used industry standard modeling tools to assess radio frequency exposure from the proposed tower. The result confirmed that the installation would fully comply with Safety Code 6 limits and that all public areas near the site are considered safe. Signal Wireless retained NTE consultants to conduct an environmental impact study for the proposed tower. The tower is proposed at the rear end of the existing poultry barn on the east side of the property. No natural heritage features were identified at the tower location. While barn swallow habitat was noted on site, the installation will not impact any nesting or foraging areas. Similarly, habitat for the bobolink and eastern meadowlark exists in the adjacent grasslands to the north, but the project will not disturb the breeding habitat, and construction will be directed away from sensitive areas. MTE concluded that with mitigation measures in place, the tower can proceed without significant environmental impact. Signal follows the United States Fish and Wildlife Service's 2021 recommended best practices for tower siting, design, and operation. We've applied 4 of the key recommendations to this proposal, which is no lighting is proposed, a height reduction from 50 meters to 43.5 meters. We're utilizing a freestanding design with a lattice tripod design, and we're avoiding natural features. To show how wildlife and telecommunication infrastructure can coexist, we've included these photos of an osprey nesting on a Signal tower in Burkeville, Ontario. While just one example that highlights how birds can and do adapt to these structures. We understand the concern around radio frequency energy and wildlife. While Health Canada's Safety Code 6 focuses on human health, there is currently no scientific evidence from real-world environments showing that radio frequency exposure from telecommunication towers harms birds or other wildlife. The few studies that do suggest potential effects are largely based on controlled laboratory conditions, and their findings have not been consistently replicated in natural settings. It's also worth noting that a 35-meter Explorer tower operated on the same property until it was decommissioned in 2023. During its time in service, there were no reported impacts to bird species or wildlife. Our goal is to improve coverage in underserved areas while continuing to respect and coexist with the natural environment. This coverage map is prepared by third-party engineer Manuel Vera and shows the existing wireless service around its site location. The color scale indicates signal strength. Red and dark orange is excellent coverage. Light orange and yellow is usable but inconsistent coverage. Green is unreliable, and blue is little to no signal. As you can see, there's a clear coverage gap south of Roseville Road, where much of the map is shaded yellow or green and yellow. This means that the area has poor to no reliable service, creating ongoing challenges for residents, businesses, and travelers. This map shows the projected coverage once the proposed Signal tower is operational. It was prepared by third-party engineer Manuel Vera using the same color scale. With the tower, we see significant improvement, especially south of Roseville Road, where previously poor coverage areas are now largely red and dark orange, indicating strong, reliable service. At our last meeting, a counselor suggested exploring co-location on the future Cedar Creek Water Tower about 2 kilometers south of the proposed location. We had our engineer model this scenario. While it does add some coverage, most of it extends south of Cedar Creek Road, where Rogers already has infrastructure and satisfactory service. It would do little to improve the underserved areas north of Cedar Creek Road, where coverage remains poor.
Lucas, can you wind it up because you're in?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll just, to conclude, the need for reliable service in North Dumfries is clear. The proposed signal tower addresses the key coverage gap and is designed to support multiple carriers, making it a long-term solution without the need for more towers. I'd also like to note that the MTE consultants are here today to answer any questions about the environmental impact.
Thank you. Next, I have Paul Cabral. Mr. Paul here? All right, would any member of the public like to say anything on this? Seeing none, any questions from councilors? Sponsor Willis.
I have a question for Luke, if I may.
Mhm.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. During your environmental impact studies and the work that you did you have a chance to consult with where to address their concerns specifically?
I don't believe Singham contacted Road Conservation. Their main issue with the proposal is regarded to RF EMF radiation from the tower. And there's not enough research for us or for Road to really make a conclusive statement on this. But no, we do not, just to answer the question.
Michael?
Through you, Madam Mayor, sorry, was there a question to staff?
No, there wasn't, but I believe you wanted to speak.
That's the next report.
Oh, next time, please. Councilor Austin.
Through you, Madam Mayor. You said there's no lighting on this tower?
The Madam Mayor, that is correct. We did Transport Canada and Navigation Canada applications, and we got clearances from both, so no lighting is proposed.
So there's no red marker lights or anything on there?
Nothing like that.
Is it because it's not high enough or?
Yeah, and they do flight paths for nearby planes or helicopters or whatever you have it. And it's not within that, it's either not within the flight path or it's too short.
Councilor Williams.
This is more of a remark on one item in the report, which would seem to indicate that residents and grounds and where we're victims of conspiracy theories against EMFs, and I think like some of the report there was that, you know, their concern was around birds dying, which was basically a conspiracy theory. And I don't think that wasn't right. That was not their concern. I think their more concern was more along longitudinal impact of birds, and you are correct that that has not been fully studied, and it's hard to study that. But I just wanted to correct that because it kind of sounded in the report where we're guided. Not as, I don't, anyway, thank you.
100%.
Thank you, Councilor Williams. See, I'll make you, was been on the tower there before.
Madam Mayor, there was a tower, freestanding tower that was operated by Xplornet on the property. It was slightly lower in elevation. I believe it was in the order of around 35 meters. And it was decommissioned and removed in year 2023.
Thank you, Councilor Austin.
Just to build on Councilor Williams' report with it, are there any like substantial reports of the towers being an issue for birds? Like, I mean, whenever I've seen any towers, the birds are sitting on it, they're not running into it. Like, I mean, I'm not to say that I guess they couldn't that night, but not many birds are migrating at night, and when they do, Some of them perch, some of them have nests, some of them rest on there. I just don't know, have there been studies done on the effects of towers on wildlife?
You, Madam Mayor, there are studies, again, these studies are largely, in controlled environments, and their results are inconsistent with real world, examples of towers and wildlife. In my experience working in telecommunications, I've never heard of anything regarding birds and wildlife and EMF's impact to their migration or anything of the sort. But all the data is inconclusive, and all of it does say that more research needs to be done. And yeah.
Thank you. Is that it, council? Seeing no more questions, can I have a motion, please, Council Roman?
Excuse me, moved by myself, second by Council Williams, that fee report number 21-2025 be received. And that council authorizes the issuance of a letter of concurrence in support of proposed 43.5 meter high tripole telecommunication tower at 1056 Bristolville Road for submission to ISB Canada, subject to conditions as outlined in section 5 of fee report number 21-2025, associated with environmental impact study and its recommendations.
All those in favor? That's carried, thank you. Next up is report 11.2.2, reporting the PB 22/2025, proposed zoning bylaw amendment and proposed draft plan of condominium for Mitchell Street, file number ZC02/23 and 30 CBM -2301. Michael, did you want to speak on this one? There you go.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, members of the public. I do not have a presentation, but I'd like to just speak briefly to the application before you this evening, which includes both a zoning bylaw amendment and a draft plan and condominium. Planning staff are bringing this forward with a recommendation for approval. Staff, along with internal township departments and external agencies, have undertaken a comprehensive review of the application. It is our opinion that the proposal represents sound land use planning and is consistent with provincial, regional, and local policy frameworks. The application proposes the development of 4 single detached residential dwellings accessed by a private internal condominium road. The design and layout are consistent with the surrounding low density neighborhood and make efficient use of a vacant parcel within the urban area. As you're aware, the new provincial planning statement came into effect on October 20th, 2024, and it emphasizes the importance of directing growth to our settlement areas and encouraging the development patterns that efficiently use land and infrastructure, support active transportation, and contribute to complete communities. In staff's opinion, this proposal is consistent with those objectives. It utilizes existing and planned infrastructure, is located within a fully serviced area of the township, and introduces new low-density housing within an established residential community. Although the property could have supported a higher density form of housing, the applicant has opted for a more context-sensitive approach that better reflects the character of the surrounding neighborhood. The proposed 4-lot layout integrates well with the existing built form and provides a good example of infill development that respects the scale of the area. From a policy perspective, the subject lands are designated built-up area in both the region's official plan and the township's official plan. This designation supports intensification and new housing opportunities on underutilized parcels in service-driven areas. The township's official plan also designates the property as urban residential and ancillary, and this designation permits a range and mix of housing types on full municipal services. The proposed development conforms with that designation by contributing to the township's long-term housing goals. Access to the residential lots will be provided by a private internal road, which also serves as the designated fire route. This ensures safe and efficient access for future residents and emergency services and integrates the new dwellings into the existing street network. The application was circulated to relevant township departments and external agencies. All technical comments have been addressed by the applicant, and there are no objections to the approval of the zoning bylaw amendment or the draft plan of condominium. Public comments were received through the consultation process. Notices were sent to property owners within 120 meters of the subject lands, and feedback was collected and considered throughout the review. The comments and concerns are outlined in the staff report and have informed our final recommendation. As part of those discussions, I want to highlight that building height and privacy were 2 common areas of concern that were raised by neighboring residents. And under the current zoning, the as of right building height is 12 meters. At the last council meeting, staff had proposed a reduction to 10 meters. And following further discussions with the property owner, it was confirmed that the intended building heights are significantly lower. Conceptual designs for lots 3 and 4 identify maximum heights of approximately 6.4 meters. And so in response, staff have further reduced the maximum allowable height in the site-specific zoning to 8 meters. And this reduction provides flexibility for the property owner during detailed design, while also ensuring that the new homes will not be prominent structures that overlook or dominate adjacent homes on Watson Crest or on Mitchell Street. The 8-meter cap also reflects a measured approach to height and a commitment to ensuring compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood. In addition to height, neighboring property owners raised concerns regarding privacy impacts, especially for homes that share lot lines with the subject property. And staff worked closely with the applicant to incorporate appropriate side and rear yard setbacks that provided meaningful separation. The proposed lots are subject to a minimum rear yard setback of 7.5 meters. However, the building plans submitted exceed this requirement, offering enhanced buffering for adjacent properties. And setbacks to homes along Mitchell Street are generally generous. The closest proposed setback is 2.5 meters from the shared property line with 204 Mitchell Street. This interface represents a side yard rather than a front facade, which helps to reduce potential privacy concerns. Furthermore, the applicant is exploring additional landscaping along the shared lot line to provide further screening. It's worth noting as well that the 2.5 meter setback reflects the standard requirement for interior side yards. And based on the orientation and design of the proposed dwelling, it is not anticipated to negatively impact the privacy of the neighboring property. With respect to vegetation, while some tree removal will be necessary to accommodate the homes and roadway, several trees along the shared lot lines will be preserved. In addition, trees located on neighboring properties but close to the lot lines will be protected throughout the development process. The retention of these trees provided an added layer of screening and helps to mitigate privacy concerns. In staff's opinion, the combination of reduced building heights, enhanced setbacks, and tree retention measures appropriately addresses the concerns raised through the public consultation process. The proposed built form and layout are consistent with the character of the neighborhood, and in many cases provide increased setbacks relative to typical standards thanks to the larger lot sizes. These features help ensure a respectful transition between existing and future homes. We do not anticipate any negative impacts resulting from the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. The proposed use is desirable for the urban area and is in alignment with the broader goals and policies of both the regional and township official plans. And so in conclusion, planning staff recommend that the proposed zoning bylaw amendment and the draft plan condominium be approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Andrew Head. You have 5 minutes, Andrew.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, staff. My name is Andrew Head from Brighton Smith and Head Planning Consultants. I'm here on behalf of the client, the owner of the lands under the draft plan of application. I'd like to thank staff for the presentation of staff report. We have reviewed the conditions of approval and we are in support of staff's recommendation to approve the draft plan of condominium, with the exception of condition 1.32, which is on page 7 of the conditions of approval. This condition is requesting that we pay a parkland dedication fee. We disagree with this condition because the parcel of land is a lot on record and was part of a plan of subdivision. Therefore, it is easily concluded that parkland dedication fee was paid at the plan of subdivision stage. I'm sure that if staff dig up the records of the subdivision, it will show that 5% parkland dedication was paid at that time. There's been much discussion on this with our team, as well as the township staff. We met with the legal advisor, as well as Michael Campus today with our legal team. And it was discussed that we could pay the requested parkland dedication fee under protest and appeal this decision after the fact. This would allow my client to move forward with building their first house. This application was deemed complete June 28th, 2023, 656 days ago. And the public meeting was held on August 14th, 2023, 609 days ago. We have been working diligently to get this development in front of council, but have run into a few hiccups along the way. My client has the contractors lined up to be constructed as soon as possible. We do not wish to defer this application tonight. Earlier today, I circulated a letter from our solicitor, Greg Robson, where he stated his professional opinion that he feels this should not be applied, that parkland dedication should not be applied to the property as it was already paid. He also went into further detail on how section 42.7 does not apply to this development. We also contacted and paid Jennifer Meter. She's a solicitor and an OLT specialist, who has also weighed in on this application, on this parkland dedication fee, and she is in agreement with Mr. Robson. This parkland dedication fee is not a large sum of money, but it is significant. In an effort to save time and money for both the client and township, I'm requesting that you have condition section 1.32 parkland dedication removed from the conditions of approval, and with clear understanding that parkland dedication has already been paid. The fees at hand are not substantial, and I don't know if it's in anybody's interest other than lawyers.
Until we get further conference with staff, and that we will not be making that decision.
That's what I thought. If that is going to be the case, I'd like to be able to move this forward with your support, or, you know, we would accept that, and then we will be able to take our turn after.
CEO McNeely.
So, Madam Mayor, as part of your addendum package that was circulated to you late this afternoon, do you have as an addendum the correspondence from Mr. Lawson Carpenter, summarizing the opinion shared by Mr. Head on behalf of their client. And you also have the email of Township Legal Counsel, which has a different view and perspective as it relates to the application of section 51.1 of the planning code, which has conditions to draft approval. It is empowered under section 51.1 of the act. And they are of the opinion previously and reinforced today as a condition to draft approval, it was appropriate for the municipality and within their legislative capacity to include this condition. So, two different legal opinions, and that's where we stand. The original subdivision was based on a single detached lot and the property framed on a block within the larger Mitchell Street subdivision. And you are increasing by a net factor of 3 units from the historic zoning limits on the subject land, and you are creating the division of the land to create 4 building lots, a net increase of 3 through this proposed plan.
Thank you, CEO McNeely. So we will leave this in your hands with the applicant, as we have not the ability to change the laws.
Well, Madam Mayor, council does have several options in front of you. Mr. Head is asking that you delete that condition that's in the staff report. Legal counsel from the township is saying you are within the purview of section 51.1 to include it as a condition. And as Mr. Head has indicated, the opponent either as appeal to the decision of council related to the draft plan of condominium can refer the matter to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and or at a later stage, they can file a grievance through the Ontario Land Tribunal to challenge to the payment of the parkland trust payment, the time to go current for a future hearing.
Councilors, any questions or comments? Councilor Lawson.
If legal counsel is advising us that it's appropriate to have that, I don't think we should be setting precedents to say we're not gonna charge it because you don't think you should pay it. What happens when the next subdivision and the next subdivision and the next subdivision that comes? And like, how can we tell them, well, you know what, forget it, if we're gonna do this now? And also, I believe that should be rectified before any shovels hit the ground.
So are you suggesting a deferral of this until this is resolved?
If that's the decision that needs to be done, if they're gonna go to the, they're gonna go to the Ontario Land Tribunal, then so be it, but I think that should be, this should all be rectified. I don't wanna be 2 years down the line, and then we're gonna have legal counsel going after the 4 residents that live in the house or the corporation that owns the property, trying to fight to get our parkland, because that's gonna cost us money. And I think that before we walk into any problems, we need to rectify it now.
Any other questions or comments, councilors? Yeah, I don't want to hold this up, but I don't want to also as CEO McNeely said, that was never meant for multiple houses in that area. It was meant for a single lot type thing or one, and now that we've got a kind of condominium in there, it falls under different jurisdictions of the law. CEO McNeely.
So Madam Mayor, as outlined a moment ago, we also have several decisions to defer with it. And provide direction to staff. You can approve the matter as submitted and presented in the staff report. That does confer certain abilities for the proponent to pursue appeals if they feel that they're being wronged as it relates specifically to the issue of the cash and lieu. Or council can drop that condition as outlined in the staff report. Those are effectively the three scenarios that are available to Township Council at today's.
Councilor Rose.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A question for you to staff is, when was this issue kind of discovered? It feels, did it just bring up now? Like, is this new? Like, or has this been in total contention throughout this entire process?
So, Madam Mayor, through Councilor Williams, this has been discussed on and off between respective legal counsels going back 4 or 6 weeks. And so it's not something that was raised for the first time over the weekend. This has been discussed back and forth over a 4 to 6 week period. The township actually crafting the original drafts went to legal counsel, given the history of the property and the fact that this block was created through original plan of subdivision. And how should we deal with the issue of park trust? So staff made that reach out to legal counsel going back almost 6+ months ago. But in terms of discussions with legal counsel for the order, that's 4 to 6 weeks.
Councilor Rose.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So if this has been in discussion for 4 to 6 weeks, there seems to be an impasse. So giving people more time, I'm not sure that would help.
I'm going to defer this to a council discussion after I opened it to the floor first. Is there any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? Would you please come up and give your name, please, sir?
If I could just close, on behalf of my client, they'd really like to see the decision tonight. They'd really like to get a move on with development. And then if they have the option to take those steps forward, right? Whichever option they choose, it is a significant amount of money, but you have to weigh out the cost of the lawyers and the time and all these other factors as we move forward. So like you're weighing in the discussion, please keep in mind that they would like to get along with this development and they have options available to them, no matter which course that we take. And I thank you very much for your time.
So come on up and give your name, please.
My name is Daryl Simon. I'm at 204 Mitchell Street. I emailed a few of you on this topic before, but I noticed my letter and my pictures I sent were not included in the package. I don't know if you guys have received. I don't see you emailed me back and said you want the put on the record, and they weren't put on to the package that was on the internet for today's meeting for some reason, which I find it odd. I don't know. Michael was given a copy too.
Yeah, so both Michael and Nicole will get together to make sure that that's included, okay?
Yeah, while you guys are making a decision, I know he's in a hurry, you got the shovel on the ground, but I have a few.
But I believe when I responded to you, I included all the councilors so that they already had a chance to see what you were saying.
Well, hopefully, yeah, because there's a few things I'd like to talk about here that I put in my email as well. And then going piggybacking on what Michael had mentioned, how the privacy concerns were looked at. He did come to my property. I did talk to him about my issues with the 2.5 meter setback on the property and how that relates to where this house is proposed and my house backs on. Within this package, it says that it's a side lot. That's why it can go as low as 2.5 meters. There's four houses going on this massive property. I don't know why this house number 4, which is the first one that's going to be built, has to be built 2.5 meters from my back fence. But on top of that, they said that this is a side yard. But if you look at the property facings on page 18 of this proposal in your guys' package, my back lot angles at about a 45. Their proposal of this house number 4 is also angled. And it isn't the side lot, it's basically angling towards mine and Ken's property. So it's not the side, it's the front yard is actually the very front corner, is almost a 45 facing my house, it's the front and the side that which faces my house, which then would be a 2.5 meter setback. And according to your bylaws, I believe it's a 6 meter setback. On top of that, Mike was just, you were talking about trees and everything being kept in the plan. And the pictures, you can see that I sent from my backyard facing out towards it. There's several large mature evergreens and other trees that are in there that are going to be cut out according to their arborist plan. So there's no keeping of the trees from where I see it from my backyard. They're all going to be cut down according to the arborist plan. And they're going on like they're going to be keeping trees or not. They're cutting them all down. Like if you guys look at the pictures I've sent, hopefully it's on record, I don't know, from my backyard out. They're massive old evergreen trees, and there's no reason why they can't just push the property, the building of that building number 4 back a few more meters to save those large evergreen trees, and then it actually keep privacy between my lot, Ken's lot, and these new condominium builds. I've talked to Michael about this, and he seems to think that it's just a side, but it's like I said, if you look at the pictures and where they propose, you sent me the link today, the house is on an angle and it's cornered towards my backyard, the front and the side, not just the side.
Through you, Madam Mayor, by definition, it is the side yard. It has to be considered the side yard by definition. The shortest frontage to that internal roadway is considered the front. So when we're applying setbacks, his shared property line is considered a side yard property line, which would then apply to 2.5 meter setback from the proposed dwelling. With respect to the trees, there was an arborist report that was completed for the property. After discussions with the property owners, there were multiple back and forths with the arborist after visiting the site, identifying the trees, their condition, and whether or not, as development proceeded, whether or not there would be damage to those trees. With the grading that's proposed and the work that is required for those lots, a lot of those trees, unfortunately, within the property boundaries of the subject property are required to be removed to accommodate the development. Where it was possible to save the trees or protect the trees, primarily along certain shared property lines, along the rear property lines, those were protected and preserved where possible. But a lot of them, because of the proposed work that'll go ahead, especially the grading work, damage to roots will eventually cause a risk to those trees falling down as well. But specifically on lot 4, where the trees are within the rear yard of, or near the rear yard of Daryl's property, those trees unfortunately are right in the area where the development is going to be occurring. And there's no way to save those trees if we're going to be accommodating development. If we look at the property at 208, for example, there are large sets of evergreens there, a hedgerow that wraps around the property into the entrance of the site. Those are being protected, for example. And there are conditions of approval that will support the protection and the fence protection to ensure that that happens. But Daryl is right, there are several trees within the property boundaries, not on shared property lines, that do have to be removed as a result.
When you say within the property line, which property? Still, so you may.
Within the subject property.
Subject property, thank you. Okay.
Well, can I get clarification on why you say it has to be considered a side lot? Because like I said, the angle of the house that has built proposed is on a 45 facing towards my backyard. I don't know how it is a side, it is a front, it is a both. And I don't see the pages, so many pages here, but page 18 shows the way it's angled on the report. That angled line, my house is backing onto that angled line, not on the line of a fence, but on the line of, say, the property line between 3 and 4. So that house will be facing my backyard more so than it will be turned sideways to my backyard. That 2.5 meter front corner is the front corner of the front of the house. That will be.
Right.
My house and my pool is at 2.5 meters from that fence, so they're building the corner of the house 5 meters from my pool. And like I said, I'm not an engineer, but that is a massive piece of property. There's no reason why they can't push it back a few more meters. 2.5 meters from the front corner of their house to my backyard seems pretty silly, given the size of this property.
Michael,
Through you, Madam Mayor, we did deliberate with the property owner about potentially orienting the building slightly differently. If that was to happen, there would be a cost to the backyard of the future owner. So through that consultation, there was an inability from the property owner's perspective to use that backyard to provide more side yard setback. And I think the justification from the property owner in this case is that they don't intend to use that side yard setback very much. That side yard setback is really just the interface of the wall to the shared property line. But the front facade of that building is actually primarily looking towards 206, but obviously slightly with a turn direction, you're looking at 204 as well. And it's hard to, with the proposal that they intend to have for that site, to mitigate how the orientation will look on the property, especially with the size of the proposed dwelling. So we tried to incorporate generous setbacks where possible across the whole entire draft plan. But unfortunately, on this property, that specific location with 204 Mitchell, the 2.5 meter setback is what the owner is looking to achieve there. And that's primarily because she wants to take advantage of the remaining space on her property for her own personal use.
so is this the same property that trees are going to be removed?
Correct.
So would it be appropriate to approach the new builder and ask them to put the trees on what you call a side lot to give more privacy to
Through you, Madam Mayor, I have had that discussion with the property owner, and she is most willing to look at a future landscaping along that side yard setback. And additionally, for privacy concerns, there is also the ability for a larger fence to be placed on the property line there, up to 6 feet in our fence bylaw, if that is a concern of the resident.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, my concern, well, first of all, 2.5 meters, if you look at, here, I'll show you the pictures of my backyard.
If you've got them on the report,
This-
can you put them on
These
the-
trees cannot fit within 2.5 meters if you want to move the trees. They're massive, everything we're looking at.
The existing trees are impractical to
To
relocate.
move.
And I'm not saying existing.
They're just too large by their size and they do not survive being transplanted.
The only way to save those trees is to move the side, the 2.5 meters up to 8, 7, I don't know what is it, it should be 6 if it's a front facing, which I would argue that it is. He would argue against it.
Council, you can ask a question. It's on your side, go ahead.
Yes, so I just wanted to ask you a question. If there was a hedgerow installed in that place, that would fit that with the roots. Yeah, and it's something that would grow like cedar trees or hedgerow or something. Maybe that could be the trade-off, and they are cleaner trees compared to the large pine cones that fall off those coniferous trees. Is that possibly something that you would be inclined towards?
Well, you definitely, like Michael had said that they're considering that, but considering doing it and once they get the shovels in the ground, actually doing it, they're two different things. They can say they're considering everything, but once they get approval, they can stop considering it real quick, right?
But once they committed to this, if they do commit to this, then we get it right.
Yeah. Well, I hope
And then
so.
we follow.
And the other thing is the grading, like it's hard to show on these pictures, but that lot is considerably higher than my lot itself. So they'll be looking down on me quite a bit. He said they're not overlooking the neighbors, but they are definitely going to be overlooking my lot. I don't see how they wouldn't. Like you can see in the picture, I have 2 rows of large landscaping stones So from there to my fence still goes up and then it goes up considerably after. It's quite a bit higher. Now, I don't know how 1 to 10 to 8 meters, that's fine, but having a house 2.5 meters off that bank fence, like I said, like 5 meters off my pool. That's overlooking, that's right on top of it. They'll be looking at the bathroom into my deep end of my pool, what they're gonna be doing.
Councillor Terry.
You'd like to ask a question
Yeah.
through you, Madam Mayor, to Michael Campbell.
Well, I was just gonna say, Michael, why don't you work with Dale and see what we can negotiate with the builders to see about possibly the tree line fencing and
Through you, Madam Mayor, those conversations have occurred over the last few weeks since our last meeting. I attended the site with Daryl. I reviewed that option with Andrew Head, with the owner. The owner has, to me, spoken about the possibility of introducing landscaping once construction is done, that she would work with an arborist to look at what plantings would be appropriate for that area within the side yard. Because of the limited space there, there's only certain plants and certain types of trees with the root system that would appropriately survive in those areas. So the commitment to those trees, there's work that needs to be done before they can commit to what plantings can go there. But she has confirmed that she would be open to that. And with respect to grading, as part of our draft conditions of approval, we will require final grading plans. Engineering has reviewed this as part of the circulation process. There's no concern about the grading there. And the engineering that has to occur at this site to accommodate this development. And certainly one of the main requirements from the township is that there is no adverse impacts on neighboring property owners as a result of the work that will be undertaken. And it has to comply and meet the drawings that are approved by engineering that come through the township.
Okay, thank you. And stop me when we get back to staff. So thank you, Jill. We did let you run over time, so you continue to work with Michael, try to get something documented.
Well, we have, that's the problem. The problem is that they're not willing to budge on the 2.5 meter setback, and like I said, in my opinion, that's a front setback and a side setback. By the way, the proposed house is angled towards my backyard. They're not willing to move on it. They'll say they look at landscaping, but there's not much you can do because the setback is so small. So to plant trees in there,
Question for Jill, the speaker.
Good question in general, for whoever can answer it.
Because
Not
staff
necessarily.
does have to regard it.
Okay. No, that's fine.
That's
All
right.
right.
That's right. Okay, thank you. Anybody else wish to speak on this item? You have to stand because I can't see hands above the podium. Not seeing anybody, now we can go to staff. Councillor Tilly first, Councillor Osler next. Thank you, Eric. Oh, look at, there's people there.
Okay, through you, Madam Mayor, to Michael. Just in regards to you did have figure 7 up previously on your shared screen. The second picture, or the diagram, I guess it would be a proposed dwelling lot before. It shows I believe what would be considered the side lot there. The 2.5 meters away from this the shared property line there. Is that not where a door is going to be coming out? There's an exit door at that point, or where's the 2.5 meters just in regards to that proposed property?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So the 2.5 is actually a corner wall. So if you're looking at the proposed rendering here, the corner wall is actually, let me just confirm my position. It's this wall here. And so we have some windows here, but this is a guest bathroom and a guest bedroom here. And so the distance between the front door of the proposed, oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong spot. This is the front wall here. Okay, so there's a stone wall here. There is a window here for a guest bathroom. This is a guest bedroom, which is the setback to this corner wall here is shown on the plan as being 4 meters. So to the window is likely another 4.5 meters. And further to the front door and to the garage, you're looking at over in excess of 8 meters setback, 9 meters of, based on the scale of the drawings that we provided.
You just reiterated the setback to the front corner is 4 meters, though, right, not 6 meters.
4 meters to this wall here, 2.5 meters is to this corner. right
And
now.
what is the township rule for front yard setback? How many meters?
Sorry, this is, I'm speaking about the setback from your property line
Yeah.
to, which is the side
So you
yard.
said that front side is 4 meters from my property
Yeah,
line.
yeah, okay, let him finish, okay. Go ahead, Michael.
So it must be a minimum of 2.5 meters.
To the side, but not the front.
I think the definition of a side yard is what's in question here, and I think years ago I ran into this with another area, and it's the definition of the planning act of a side yard. Is that correct, Michael?
To the closest point of the structure. Right,
Correct.
so the setback is measured from your property line to the closest part of the structure. The minimum required setback is 2.5 meters. So anything above 2.5 meters is in compliance. Anything below 2.5 meters is in non-compliance. So in our current zoning bylaw, as of right, this interior side yard setback, minimum side yard setback is 2.4 meters. So they're proposing 2.5 here. And then all other parts of this building are more than 2.5 meters setback from his property.
Counselor, Tilly, go ahead.
So my concern, and this would be something that needs to be addressed in the planning stage, is that where that door is going to be, if they were to build, say, a 8-10 foot hedge row across that edge there, it'd be approximately based on what I see there, maybe 15 to 18 feet away from that door there. That would be a fairly close location, but it would give that privacy for that entrance area. That's why I was just wanting to nail down that distance from the roof. That's not super long, but it still does give some space away and doesn't feel like it's a wall right going against. So again, I'm just trying to, as something we need to debate and discuss, is whether or not this is a reasonable distance, if there can be something with a privacy fence or privacy hedgerow or something that's gonna give that little distance. And this is for both parties. Obviously, nobody wants to be stared at from either angle. I just wanted to see if there was any possible, I guess this is ongoing and that's the problem, that there isn't 100%. And as the owner or the owner of the property is conveying, is that they're looking and obviously wanting this as well for themselves to have that privacy. I guess there needs to be a level of trust, understanding that people don't want either way going through. I just obviously, like you said, Mayor, that there needs to be something in writing if it's going to be something that we expect for that happiness level that needs to be there once the house is completed. So I don't really know how to proceed from this point or how to ask questions on how to make sure that does happen.
No, we just insist that it be part. We insist that it be part of the record, the official record that council is stating that this will be done. And I see the only thing,
Madam Mayor, council wants specific design criteria put in a specific location that it should be imposed as a condition to draft approval.
Right.
That is the only way to create the direction when it comes to the future landscape and engineering submissions, that from schedules to the future condominium agreement. So if council has a specific thing that you wish added, it's not already listed in the document, then you would need to add that as a specific condition to draft plan.
so do we make it as a motion or do we,
So you would basically, if working on the premise that council is going to advance toward the decision tonight, you would say that the conditions of draft plan approval be amended to include the following, and then you would describe what that is. So staff would then incorporate that language as an additional condition. And that's how the notice of decision would be issued. But you have to be very descriptive what you're seeking.
Council Tilly?
And this would be to a question to Daryl then, would that satisfy your expectation if it was something that you did clarify that in the expectations or put it in our?
Was one of the parts, the main part though is the fact that that's a front, I believe that the way my yard is angled and the way they're proposed to build that thing. Is that it's now a front facing property, it shouldn't be 2.5 meters, it should be 6 meters. And with that 6 meters, then you have all kinds of room to landscape. Michael disagrees on the front facing, but I believe.
Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Michael. Can you put the
Look at that picture right there.
yeah,
And then.
where's the house
Daryl,
in,
sorry, go ahead.
where's the boundaries of the house compared to that property? So
Proposed house, yeah.
yeah, that's it there. Okay, so where's Daryl's property compared to there? Can you just make it a little smaller? For the,
Just saying.
it's right there.
So I don't want to step in, but if you
Okay.
took the last two pictures and put them side by side, you'd be able to see.
Through you, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
Daryl's property is 204 right here.
204.
Yep.
Okay.
So the house, if you look at, sorry, I don't have one full, but you can see that the house is oriented so that it's facing towards this area. Again, this is the 2.5 setback that Daryl is concerned about, which is the side.
Gotcha.
Face.
So, sorry, so my question is it not possible to move that house slightly closer to the road? I mean, we're only talking another, what, 2 meters is what, 6 feet, 6, 7 feet? Would it not work or?
If you shift the property closer to the proposed condominium road, you will have, based on the configuration of the common lot lines between 204 and 208. Mitchell, you're actually moving the property, the building closer to the common lot line. We're either gonna achieve the increase in the side yard by either twisting the residence slightly to the, I guess it'd be the southwest, or pushing it back closer to the rear lot line. If you're going to keep the configuration of the home as conceptually shown within these boundaries. It's a fairly wide home, and it effectively takes the width of the property. So to take advantage, you would actually have to move the building deeper into the property, or re-angle the house.
Okay, so when I look at, I don't know from this picture which way I'm looking now. So is it west? Am I looking to the right? Are those all residential properties all along there?
So can we go back to the other drawing for a moment, please, Michael? So see where the north arrow is?
Yeah. So
All-
south. Okay,
All
so
of those are existing
Yeah.
single detached homes,
Yeah.
each having
on the
frontage.
other side. What's on the other side?
Talking about to the rear of lot 4,
Other side, the right side of where it says house number 4
yes,
That's across.
to the right.
Yeah, too.
What's there?
that is Watson Crescent, and the single family homes that are that front onto Watson Crescent and back onto this property.
Okay, so there's no woods in between there. The woods are,
No, you've got the pipeline owned by Enbridge, and then you've got the I'll call it the active portion of each of those residential lots that front onto Watson. They're ringed by residential development to the north, the south, and to the west.
so then facing Watson Crescent for this house would be the backyard or would that be another side yard?
So properties that back onto Watson Crescent.
Yeah.
Back onto this common lot line are
Yeah.
deemed to be the rear yard. And the minimum standards as per the Z4 classification, 7.5 meter setback.
And what do we have? 7.5?
That's what's on the
Through you, Madam Mayor, we actually, the rear yard is 11.3 meters.
So that's what the actual is. So the minimum is 7.5.
Okay,
But what is shown is 11.3 meters as per the sketch code.
so if that house was to shift from 11.3 to, let's say, 9.3, would that not give 4.5 meters approximately to Mitchell, 204 Mitchell?
So if I'm following the drawing, and if you were to move it back roughly 2 meters to the due south.
Yeah.
For 2 lots and.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You'd probably be closer to 4 meter offset. And why I say that is because if you take a look at the drawing, you'll see that you've got closest point is 2.5 meters.
Yeah.
At the front corner of the building, right now it shows as a 4 meter offset. So if I was to move that back roughly 2 meters, that corner, which is right now shown at 4 meters, would be generally where the pinch point is right now, 2.5 meters.
I'm not so sure I agree with that, because if you take that house and you move it straight to the right. Eric, why do I keep getting this during the audio? If you move that house straight over, every corner on that house is going to move further away from the lot line.
And I'm suggesting to you that it would be moving from about 2.5 meters to about 4 meters.
Right,
So you said the same thing, you both said. the same.
Yeah. so
Can we make
is it a
that-
possibility or?
Through you, Madam Mayor, those conversations, I did have that conversation following my meeting with Daryl at his residence.
Yeah.
And I brought up with the owner, the possibility of orienting the building to be able to shift it so that essentially how you've described it, shifting it to the right, we could gain additional setback on that side. The owner did go back to their designer, reviewed the options, and she came back to me and said that they were not wanting to make that shift because they didn't want to lose the space in the backyard. And I believe that's because they have certain a certain vision for the backyard that they'd like to try to achieve, and they need that space, and that's why they want to maintain the 11 meters. But I did bring that option to them, but maybe Andrew would like to speak to that.
We actually did explore a couple of design options through your man there. We did explore a couple of options from rotating the house and moving it back. What happened is we lost excessive amount of backyard space, which is, this is going to be, these are going to be pretty desirable homes, they're going to be pretty beautiful. The backyard's going to be landscaped, everything's going to be very well manicured. We looked at it, the cost of redesigning, like the grading drainage, all the other aspects of this, and we came to the conclusion that we can't give enough to make them happy. And even though we did explore at cost to my client, to go back and explore this, so we settled on this. It is the pinch point, it does currently meet the zoning bylaw, and it is just the pinch point on the corner that is not really a readily used part of the house. We feel that if we keep it with the bylaw, or it isn't keeping the bylaw, as well as the intent of keeping his price.
Council Williams.
Yeah, if we were to move this back, something we could do lose quite a bit in the backyard, which would be kind of sad. I think the best step forward would be just to have a modification. Go back to what Councilor Tully was first getting at, just have a modification to this plan, an agreement. To make sure that there's a privacy area right there. And yeah, I think that's something that could get done.
Councilors, any other questions? Council Lawson.
So, through you, CEO McNeely, if we were to approve this, subject to the issue of the parkland in lieu of, would that be a condition, be like to be settled before they start construction. Because I don't want this to be settled after. I want this buried, this issue buried however it gets buried. Proper way and done so that they can do their construction without any problems looming and we don't have to backpedal and fight a year or two down the line.
So Madam Mayor, through Councilor Austin. The owner will have a couple of different ways to deal with the matter of cash in lieu. If they choose to challenge the decision of the Township Council to include it as a condition of draft approval. Option one, this is assuming that they oppose the decision of the council. Option one would be to appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal the specific condition of payment of cash in lieu under section 51 of the Plan Act. And that has to be done 20 days, within 20 days of the notice being issued. Option two is at the time of the first building permit, they have the ability to file a challenge the payment of the cash in lieu. The payment would be provided, the building permit, assuming all other matters under the Ontario Building Code are achieved, would be issued. And there would be the ability to either negotiate a settlement and or see the matter through to the Ontario Land Tribunal at a later date. Those are the mechanisms that are available depending upon which lever the owner chooses to exercise if they wish to challenge the condition as recommended by staff and endorsed by the Township Legal Council. You do have the authority to impose this condition.
Councilor Austin.
So you're through to see how we're doing. So you're saying it doesn't matter if we say that this proposal does not move forward until that is addressed, the parkland issue is addressed, because they can start building and start fighting while they're building, like.
So Madam Mayor, through to Councilor Austin. If council chooses not to defer the matter tonight and wishes to render a decision, you have two options. You can either strike down the condition that's currently in the draft that requires under section 51(1) and section, I think it's 42(7) of the Planning Act, the payment of cash in lieu would be on the net effect of 3 additional lots. Properties for 4 development lots, it would be the net increase of 3. So we could strike that condition down. And that would satisfy the concerns of Mr. Head, which has been requested by his client. If you were to defer, there will be another meeting. I'm not too sure, another 2 weeks, another month of discussions is going to change anyone's position. It's been discussed back and forth between respective legal counsels over the last 4 to 6 week period. If you render a decision, then the proponent has 2 options available. If they choose to refer the matter to the Ontario Land Tribunal, one would be immediately following the rendering of decision. And that means the whole development's on hold pending either a settlement and or final disposition of the matter in front of the Ontario Land Tribunal. Or the other is the issuance of the first building permit protest. They issue a letter of protest, they pay the park trust. And then the matter will be dealt with later by the Ontario Land Tribunal. And that judgment would then be the final decision.
See, McNeely, should they go the second route? So they can continue to build because they've got the building permit and they've paid the fee even though they're going to the land tribunal, correct?
So there would be, you still go through the preparation of all the engineering submissions, there would be the condominium agreement. And you know, all those matters dealing with the integrated development of the land, so we follow this normal course of action. And at the time of the building permit, they choose not to, so they do not agree with the principle of cash in lieu on that net increase of the cost. They issue a letter of protest. That matter, so and they pay the applicable fee, whatever it's calculated to be. It would be held by the municipality. They would have the matter referred to the Ontario Land Tribunal. There's no settlement. And the tribunal will deal with the matter based on the evidentiary material. It sounds as if it would be more of a legal discussion rather than a true planning principle. An interpretation of the provisions of the act. If the board rules in favor of the client, then the township would refund the monies. If the tribunal believes that the manner in which the calculation was achieved was fair and consistent, and the principle of the ability of the municipality to level collection of fees or the net increase of free, and they accept that, then the money will continue to reside by the township and will be part of our broader pipeline development funding.
Council Rose and Council Rowland.
Are there, through you, Madam Mayor, to staff, are there any legal implications if we defer the matter that because of this?
So Madam Mayor, through you, Councilor Williams, the Planning Act does set aside timetables related to decisions made by Township Council as in their role as the approval authority for both the zoning as well as the plan of subdivision or plan of condominium. We're well past those dates. The reality is the owner has been for some time inability to file an appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal because council did not make a date that decision within those prescribed periods of time. So that's been in place for many months. I can't speak for Mr. Head, but I guess because we've been moving toward making a recommendation report to Township Council, then they will go forward a decision of Township Council.
Council Rowland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to say that I'd like to move forward with this as written. I don't want to defer it. I think we should just go ahead with it. Regardless of the threats from Mr. Head, I don't really, doesn't really matter to me what Mr. Head thinks. I think that we should go with what our legal advice is and we should move forward. And Mr. Head decides to take us to the OLT. That's always his choice, always his option. I've had properties in the past that I've had permits on that were taken to the OLT. I don't want to be in those days. That's the way it is. We should make the decision based on our information, not by threats.
Councilor Tilly, you wanted to add on to this the condition, how would we best on that condition, see on the hearing?
So Madam Mayor, just to assist Councilor Tilly, he's going to be making a motion to add as a new condition. You don't need to give the condition number, it'll just be the next sequence number, but it will be in section 1 of the conditions of draft approval. That at the rear of 208 Mitchell, I apologize, 204 Mitchell, along the common lot line, the rear of 204 Mitchell, that there be an incorporation of, and you talked about a whole bunch of different scenarios. You talked about vegetative planting, you talked about perhaps a privacy fence, so you have to be very specific as to what you're talking about. But for sake of argument, if it's cedar hedges, that appropriate planting of cedar hedges, a minimum height of 1.8 meters, which is 6 feet. Be placed along that rear common lot line at 204 Mitchell Street as part of the landscaping plan for the plan of subdivision. If that's what you're thinking of. If it's something else, then you would just change that wording to reflect. We need to know where you're talking about, context, and what you're talking about.
See on the theory, do we call it rear lot line or do we call it the side lot line?
I indicated that it's at the rear common lot line of 204 Mitchell.
Okay. Okay. Councilwoman.
Madam Mayor, should we just say, a robust landscaping and fencing design that meets the satisfaction of the township? Do that satisfactory, or do you have to have more detail?
Council Tley.
My only concern is it's very subjective. Unless council pays attention to the matter when it's actually brought forward at the time of the consideration of the subdivision agreement, it's going to be a subject interpretive. Whereas if you wish certainty, if council has in their mind a specific specification of the fencing and or planting, the more clarity you provide, then it really becomes a checklist. And when you craft with legal counsel, there's something the condominium agreement. It says for sake of argument, 1.8 meter high white cedar planting. So at the rear of the common lot line between 204 Mitchell Street and the subject lands, then it is what it is. We know what that means.
So is this a separate motion or is it added into this?
Madam Mayor, I would incorporate it into the standing resolution, just because you're approving the draft plan approval to the plan of condominium, subject to the following, which is notionally the language I've tried to assist council as you deliberate on this matter.
So we're going to say, and that's into that. Council Tley.
Just a question to your mayor to Michael Campos again. Is this the only property, in your opinion, that will have this shared opinion, or that this is encroaching into their peaceful area? Or is there another possible? I'm not trying to cause more for the builder or the owner, but I am trying to make sure that this is something that's going to appease all the neighbors.
Through you, Madam Mayor, this is the only property that we've received public concern about on the shared property line. There is significant setbacks for lots 3 and 2 from the rear and from the front, and the sides will maintain a 2.4 meter interior side yard setback between those two lots. Lot 1, there is a side yard of 2.4 meters as well that will abut other properties, other residential properties, but we have not received any concerns from those neighboring property owners.
Council Tley, what did we want? Did we want their 6 foot, 2 meter,
1.6 meter, I guess is the
1.6?
1.6 meter is a 6 foot. That's a pretty standard size.
1.8.
1.8, sorry.
1.8.
Which is a pretty standard cedar hedge purchase price.
What are we saying? 1.8
Meters,
what?
cedar hedge, or something to that effect. What?
White cedar hedge or comparable
Oh, for
Okay, what consider that?
along the rear common lot line at 204 Mitchell Street and the subject lands.
Go ahead, ma'am. Andrew.
Future, just to be clear, I did not mean it as a threat of taking anything to the heat. I was just expressing the options for the development that the developer has. That is my job, it's not to be taken as a threat. Appreciate that. And secondly, I would note that 204 does have a major encroachment onto our subject property. It's, we're going to be expected to be doing the landscape buffer. I think that would probably be proper, that that's going to be located on the property. You can see on the survey.
Michael, you'll take care of all that. Thank you. Thank you. Sasha, do you have it? Do you want to read it out? Just,
Read is that PD report number 22-2025 be received and that Township Council approve the conditions of draft approval for plan of condominium including the PD report number 22-2025 as attachment 2 to facilitate the future development of plan of condominium, file number 30 CDM-23301 to facilitate the development of 4 single detached dwelling unit on a private internal condominium road, subject to the following amendments to the conditions. One, that a 1.8 meter white cedar hedge or comparable be included at the rear of 204 Mitchell Street along the common lot line as part of the landscaping, as part of draft approval for plan of condominium. Then that motion will continue as in the staff report.
So, is that the complete something?
No.
Okay, so you can first out, please. One copy for Council Terry and one from you. Council Terry.
If you don't mind, I'd like to ask a question to the representative. Maybe, I mean, I understand your statement that you made there about moving the small encroachment onto the land there. It looks like there's, nothing's perfect in a lot of things. Is that, could be possibly be a goodwill offering from the owner to just build the hedges around that instead of?
I can take that up.
I mean, just to save having to, I mean, it's all about just getting along, and I understand, there is a slight line there, but if you could start off that it's not necessary, and this is all in my mind, a way that they're gonna be good neighbors. It's not meant to try and cause any issues between them.
I'd be happy to bring it back.
Okay, that's my request, that instead of stating that the fence will have to be removed, that line can maintain where it is there. And just work around that in any slightest amount, but
I don't have the engineering drawings. I don't know what the hedgerow is going to do to the snow removal areas, or the snowplow's going to go, it's going to impact the driveway, it's going to impact the drainage. All those things are factors that have to be considered in this. So this is going to come to a cost for the client to be able to incorporate this thing. I would like to add one thing to the condition, maybe good to the satisfaction of the planning department or the director of planning, just at the end of that clause, so we have a way to close.
So you want to add on, and actually, so you want to add on?
Or to the satisfaction of the director of planning.
So technically, it would be to myself.
Yeah.
It's just the way that we can ensure that we can close it out, because if we get into a battle of what kind of hedge it is or whatever it is, it's just going to clean it up.
Yeah, okay, so we can throw these out. What do you want to do tonight?
differing, it's good. So far.
What do you know? That's it so far. Here,
It's very close to your side, but it's.
The motion, please, Council Chairman.
Moved by myself, second by Council Ossner, that PD report number 22-2025 be received, and that Township Council approve the conditions of draft approval for the planned condominium, including the PD report number 22-2025 as attachment 2 to facilitate the future development of a plan of condominium, file number 30 CDM-23301, to facilitate the development of 4 single detached dwelling units on a private internal condominium road, subject to the following amendments to the conditions. 1, that a 1.8 meter white cedar hedge or comparable will be included at the rear of 208 Mitchell Street along the common. 204. Excuse me, did I say that? Let me reiterate that, please. Included at the rear of 204 Mitchell Street along the common lot line as part of the landscaping and part of the draft approval for plan of condominium to the satisfaction of the Chief Administrative Officer. And that Township Council approved the proposed zoning bylaw amendment to amend the zoning of subject lands from zone Z.4A urban residential to zone Z.4A urban residential, and subject to site specification exemption 20.1.338 to facilitate the creation of four single detached dwelling units along the private internal condominium road with associated minimum site-specific regulations. And the township council is satisfied that the requirements for a public meeting in accordance with the subsection 3417 of the Planning Act have been met. And that bylaw number 3448-25 being a bylaw to amend general zoning bylaw number 689-83 with site-specific zoning provisions to implement proposed uses of the plan of condominium file number 30 CDM-23301 be enacted.
Thank you, Councillor Tully, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, next is 11.2.3, report number recreation 12/2025. Allocation of former air tennis club donations. Any member of the public wish to speak on this? Any questions from council? Can I have a motion, please, Councillor Tilly? Oh, you're no wrong. Councillor Wills.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tilly, that record report number 12/2025 be received. And that council accept the process to allocate the cash donations of $4,350.45 from the former air tennis club towards providing learn to play clinics for the youth and adults of North Dumfries for the 2025 season.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, report number 11.2.2, report number recreation 13/2025, leisure and community services 2025 spring/summer outdoor programs. Any member of the public wish to speak on this? Any questions, councillors? Motion, please, Councillor Rossner.
Move by myself, second by Councillor Williams, that rec report number 13-2025 be received. And the council designate the Canada Day celebration at Cowan Park as a special event to align with the applicable provisions of bylaw number 3305-22, mobile food vendor, Schedule B, Section 4, to ensure that the food vendors are invited by the township. And that council provide an exemption as per Schedule B of bylaw 3305-22 to allow for the mobile food vendors to close out operations no later than 10 p.m. and to accommodate up to a maximum of 5 invited mobile food vendors to support the Canada Day celebrations in Cowan Park.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is report number 11.2.5, rec 14/2025, information update regarding Cowan Park air tornado repairs. Any member of the public wish to ask any questions? Councilors, any questions? Can I have the motion, please, Councillor Rowland?
Moved by myself and by Councillor Williams that report number 14-2025 be received for information.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. 11.2.6, report number rec 15/2025, request for proposal award, North Dumfries 2025 B4 RMP, dressing room floor replacement at the North Dumfries Community Complex, the NDCC. Any members of the public have any questions? Councillors, Councillor Lawson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Karen. One question, but two parts to it. First of all, if all 6 of the candidates were deemed compliant, I'm just wondering why the most expensive bid was taken when price proposal is like 40% of the rating system.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Council Oshner, this is a request for proposal. They were allocated points based on qualifications and experience of the project team, their approach of methodology, their schedule, and then, of course, the price proposal. So Advantage Sport did get high points in all those other 3 areas. And then, of course, they did get lower points in the price proposal. So it is based on, it was our thought when we did do the proposal evaluation. It was myself, Ms. Brox, and Lisa McKinsey from finance. The 3 of us did those proposals together, and that was how we allocated them. the points.
We have a 94% point. Oh, and the others were.
Yes, I see.
Councillor Austin, go ahead.
Yeah, I see how the scoring system go. It's just my concern that they're $20,000 more than everybody else on that list. I mean, this is not usual for what we see with our, with recommendations for accepting a bid. And I don't see how we can justify the $20,000 if all 6 of those companies are deemed compliant.
Christine Glass.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Officer. This is not a tender. We did not ask everyone to provide the exact same specifications. We left it open for them to provide proposal documents. Some of them provided better documentation than others. Some of them were more clear on what product they were using. And at the end of the day, weighing all those factors in, that is where the points come into it. And yes, it is very unusual for the higher bidder to actually have made up enough points in the other categories, but it does happen. And we were not specifically looking at only price. That would have been a tender situation where we would have had to have dictated exact product or equivalent. And in this case, we allowed them to provide options to us on what they felt was best within our specification.
Councillor Austin.
So that being said, I'm assuming that the product that this company is using is better than the product than the other companies are offering.
Through you, Madam Mayor, between the experience and working in arenas, between the qualifications of the team they're providing, between the schedule to accommodate our August ice and the product samples that they provided, that is overall why they were chosen.
Any other questions, councillors? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please? Councillor Tilly.
Moved by myself, second by Council Roman, that report number 15-2025 be received, and that council approved the award contract ND 2025 B4 RFP for dressing room floor replacement NDCC project in the amount of $181,027.20 plus HSD to Advantage Conference Sport Incorporated, and that council approved the provisional item public coaches room floor in the amount of $6,336 plus HSD to be included as additional scope of work to be undertaken by Advantage Conference Sport Incorporated, and that project contingency of $15,000 net HSD be established, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute any agreement or contract to facilitate this award.
All those in favor? Tilly, thank you. 11.3.7, report number BFE 2025 noise exemption request for 464 Piper Street. Any other members of the public wish to speak on this? Seeing none, councillors. Okay, motion please, Councillor Wells.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tilly, that the BLE report 05-2025 be received. And that council granted an exemption from a noise bylaw 3421-23 on Saturday, September 13, 2025, from 4 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. for the purpose of a backyard running event to be held at the property of 464 Piper Street there.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Correspondence for item for action 11.3.1. Asking if we are willing to put a name forward for seniors and accessibility regarding 2025 Ontario Senior of the Year Award. Councillor Austin, you have this motion. Do we want to nominate anyone? Can we think of anyone? Does this have to be in there?
April 30th.
Okay, so we haven't got any time going. Oh. Janine Palmer. Okay.
For the next meeting. 2 weeks.
The 28th meeting.
We have to have it in by the 30th.
Yeah, because I mean, we just said that, well, we have to get it ready. If we chose somebody, the research would be done between now and the 28th anyways. And then we could just fire it on to the next. Please spell her name, Jay. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, Mrs. Palmer very well.
So I'm gonna put Mrs. Sullivan, we can do that. So I'll speak about the motion, please.
Okay, which one am I reading? Are you nominating? Giving it?
Yeah, it's just, yeah. You can put Mrs. Palmer, that's.
Move on myself, second by Council Roman, that the correspondence received in the Ministry of for Seniors and Accessibility be received, and that council nominate Jelena Palmer for the 2025 Ontario Senior of the Year
Yeah, you
Award.
need to spell that right. So, let me see that. Senor. Senor.
And that staff be directed to submit the appropriate paperwork to the ministry.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Thank you, Senor.
Sorry, Mayor. Sorry, in regards to that,
Yeah.
in regards to that, if there was another name that came up before time, we obviously, we're only nominating one name, by the way.
No, we cannot.
Okay, just wanted to confirm that, thank you.
Mayors and council report. Oh, for the Cambridge Food Bank, yeah, but did anybody have any names for this? I already gave them one name. Councilor Tilly's also in discussion with them. So I think that just about covers it. They're, they call it a campaign, but I'm not sure it really is a campaign. It's just, trying to get a connection within North Dumfries to get communication going and stuff like that. Councilor Tilly.
I did reach out to Jen today and she did advise that there's a big opportunity where they really would like to make some big difference and that needs more space. So I did get the propaganda, good stuff. I'm just gonna meet with her to go with that, but it sounds like they really are fired to make things bigger, so.
Yeah, it's not just bigger, but they're being kicked out of where they are. They
That's
have a space. So they're trying to find a place and trying to use. Okay. We have another nomination for. Oh, that is a community food bank, so, did you want to put your name in there, Councilor Tilly, or?
I mean, honestly, I've already started the process, so I mean, they can nominate or you can just let them continue, it's up to them, I guess.
Well, we'll put you down,
Well, with that next.
make you official.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilor Roman, you're,
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Tilly, the correspondence received from Cambridge Food Bank be received, and the council nominate Mr. Scott Tilly as North Dumfries representative for the Cambridge Food Bank Capital Campaign Cabinet.
all those in favor? Gary, thank you.
The voting for myself.
Okay. And,
Are you old? I think you're old enough.
oh, yes. So, next is for the Order of Ontario Award, I don't know, just an all-around good person, citizen type thing. It's an awful lot of awards. Shall we pass at this one at this time? Can anybody think of anybody? Maybe we should, when we get these things, we should put it in the air news and have people suggest people. Rather than picking our names. But anyway, so, can you read the motion, Councilor Austin, please?
Move on myself, second by Council Roman, that the correspondence received from Ontario Honors Awards be received for information.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Now, we're going to go into close. So the motion on the floor be Councillor Williams.
Moved by myself, seconded by Council Oster, that council move into closed meeting session at 7:44 p.m. pursuant to the Municipal Act, section 2392C, to discuss CA report number 08-2025, a proposed or any acquisition or disposition of the land by the municipality or local board, Municipal Act, section 239.2C.
All those in favor? Councillor Williams, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tilly, that council reconvene into open session at 9:26 p.m.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. Council received report CAO 08-2025 for information discussion purposes only. No decisions or directions to staff was provided. A future report will be presented in open session related to this matter. Councillor Tilly, can I have the bylaws read first at a time, please?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Williams, that the following bylaws be read a first and second time. 17.1, bylaw number 3548-25, being a bylaw to further amend general zoning bylaw number 689-83 as amended draft plan condominium zoning bylaw amendment Mitchell Street. 7.2, bylaw number 3554-25, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of agreement between the Township of North Dumfries and the North Dumfries Municipal Archives, North Dumfries Historical Preservation Society. 17.3, bylaw number 3555-25, being a bylaw to authorize alternative voting methods for the 2026 municipal and school board election. 17.4, bylaw number 3556-25, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on April 14, 2025.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Councillor Williams, second third reading of bylaws, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tilly, that bylaws number 3548-25, 3554-25, 3555-25, 3556-25, be read a third and final time and be signed and sealed by the mayor.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Councillor Williams, for the agenda, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tilly, that whereas business before this council meeting has been completed at 9:28 p.m. and be it resolved at this meeting adjourned.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you.